Most people believe waking up is the hardest part. They think once you see the system, everything changes. They believe awareness equals freedom. That clarity is the exit. That understanding the game means you've escaped it. That's the lie. For most people, waking up is where the real trap begins. Because the system doesn't lose power when you see it. It loses power only when your behavior changes. And for most people, it never does. They wake up, they feel relief, they feel validated, they feel smarter than before. And then they go back to living the same life with a better explanation for why they're stuck. This is the phase nobody talks about, the phase after awakening, the phase where you finally understand what's happening, but your income doesn't change, your schedule doesn't change, your dependencies don't change, and your future still looks exactly the same. That gap between awareness and action is where most people quietly disappear. Not because they don't care, but because awareness alone feels like progress. Relief is the most dangerous emotion in the system. Not fear, not stress, not pressure. Relief? Because relief reduces pain without demanding restructuring, and the system is perfectly fine with that. Think about how awakening usually happens. You see a video, you read a book, you hear an idea framed the right way, suddenly everything clicks. Why effort hasn't translated into freedom, why motivation never lasts, why working harder made life more expensive instead of easier. You stop blaming yourself. And that feels good. That feeling feels like movement, but nothing actually moved. Oh, you didn't change how you earn. You didn't change how time is priced in your life. You didn't change who controls your leverage. You didn't change your exposure to upside. You just changed how you interpret your situation. And interpretation without action is where stagnation hides. After people wake up, they don't dismantle the system. They study it, they analyze it, they talk about it, they debate it, they consume endless content explaining it. They become fluent in the language of the trap instead of building an exit. That's the upgrade the system allows. Awareness without disruption. This is why you'll meet people who sound awake but live exactly like everyone else. Same job, same commute, same bills, same ceiling. The only difference is how eloquently they describe why the system is unfair. They didn't escape. They just found better words for the cage. And the system doesn't punish awareness, it absorbs it. It turns insight into identity. You start thinking, I see what's going on. I understand how this works. I'm not asleep like everyone else. And that thought alone is enough to keep you comfortable, because feeling superior can replace the discomfort of change. This is the hidden function of modern awareness culture. It gives you identity without forcing responsibility. It makes you feel different without making you act differently. And the system loves that trade. Here's the hard truth. Awareness without leverage is just compliance with better vocabulary. It feels rebellious, it sounds intelligent, but it doesn't threaten structure. The most trapped people in society are not the ones who are asleep. They're the ones who are half awake. They know something is wrong. They know the rules are rigged. They know effort is mispriced. But not enough to redesign their life. They see the ceiling, but still operate underneath it. They feel smarter, but remain powerless. This is why awakening content becomes addictive. It explains your frustration without asking you to change your behavior. It validates your feelings without forcing risk. It gives you meaning without demanding structure. That's why people binge it. And that's why people stay stuck for years. Look closely and you'll see it everywhere. People who've known the truth for a decade. Same income, same routines, same stress, but now they talk like philosophers. That's not progress. That's stagnation with language. The system thrives on people who stop at awareness, because awareness alone does not disrupt cash flow. Awareness alone does not break dependency. Awareness alone does not create leverage. Action does. Here's where the real split happens. Some people wake up and stop. Others wake up and realize something far more uncomfortable. That seeing the system doesn't exempt you from it. It removes your excuses. And once you see the system, you lose the ability to say, I didn't know. You can't blame randomness anymore. You understand incentives. You understand extraction. You understand how time is priced, which means every day you stay trapped becomes a decision, not a mystery, a decision. That realization is heavy, because it shifts responsibility back onto you. And most people don't want responsibility, they want explanation. So they stay in the learning phase forever. They say things like, I'm still researching, I'm still figuring it out, I'm not ready yet, I need more clarity. But clarity isn't missing, conviction is. And the system doesn't collapse when people wake up. It collapses when people restructure, when they stop trading hours for income, when they stop optimizing inside cages, when they stop waiting for permission. That's rare, which is why the system is stable. Most people confuse awakening with escape. They think feeling different means living differently. It doesn't. Awakening is internal, escape is structural. One changes how you think, the other changes how you live. And that line is where most people fail. This is why some people feel worse after waking up, because now they see the bars, they see the ceiling, they see the limitations, but they haven't built an exit. They feel restless, uncomfortable, dislocated. They no longer fit inside the old system, but they haven't created a new one. That's the danger zone. Most people resolve that discomfort by going back to sleep. Not literally, functionally. They distract themselves, they numb awareness, they immerse back into routine, because routine feels safer than redesigning life from first principles. A small group does something different. They don't romanticize awakening. They treat it like a diagnosis. This is what's broken. This is what no longer works. This is what must change. And then they act quietly. No announcements, no rebellion, no performance, just structural moves. They build parallel systems. They learn leverage. They decouple income from time. They create assets instead of tasks. They shift from participation to ownership, not overnight, but deliberately. This part isn't glamorous. It doesn't feel powerful at first. It's boring, it's lonely, it's repetitive, which is exactly why few people do it, but it's the only path that works. Here's what almost no one tells you. Awakening increases discomfort before it increases freedom, because awareness removes illusions before replacement structures are built. That's why most people quit halfway. They mistake discomfort for danger. But discomfort is just information. It's telling you something no longer fits. If you feel unsettled right now, good. That means you're not asleep. But discomfort alone doesn't save you. You don't escape by feeling different. You escape by building different. Most people wake up. Very few follow through. The system is counting on that. If this video feels like it's calling you out, that's intentional. Not because you're failing, but because you're standing at the exact moment where most people retreat. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more explanations. You don't need more awareness. You need alignment. Alignment always costs something. Comfort, certainty, familiarity. That's the price. The system doesn't fear people who wake up. It fears people who don't go back to sleep. This made sense. Stay with the thread. Because the next step isn't inspiration, it's structure. And that's where most people disappear.